my name's Jane. Tomorrow, May 8th, 2020, is the commemoration of the 75 years since Victory in Europe Day. You can see I have my bunty dump behind me. So I thought a great thing to do would be to cook some World War II recipes. The idea came from the Culinary Historians of Canada. And I cooked another recipe, savory lima bean scallop. It turned out much better than I ever thought it was. I went back to the Wartime Canada website. You can find the link to that on the Culinary Historians of Canada website. And I found another book entitled Ration Recipes by Robin Hood Flour Mills Limited. And one of the recipes I found in there is for economy oat muffins. This whole booklet was designed to save on sugar, meat, and butter, which were rationed in Canada during the Second World War. And of course, according to Robin Hood, one of the best ways to do that would be to use the Robin Hood Flour Mills Limited products. So I thought the great way to start here, I really like this recipe. It only makes 6 muffins, unlike the savory lima bean scallop, which made 6 servings, and I ended up eating for 6 days. 6 muffins I think I can handle. You start off with half a cup of cooked oats. They recommend leftover porridge from breakfast. Winter is one of those times where I like to eat a lot of porridge. When I've been living further up north than I am now, I used to have porridge every morning with my students. It's just something that it sticks in your gut. It's nice, it's warm, feels good. So there's my half cup. And then I just realized I used the wrong bowl. I'm going to need that one for my dry ingredients. Hope it doesn't make too much of a difference, but I'm mixing it now with a 1/4 cup of milk. And it says to blend this well. Okay, I don't know if you can really see it, but it sort of looks like an oatmeal you'd give to children, or wallpaper paste, one of the two. So I'm thinking that's really well mixed now. Set that aside. Oh no, before I set it aside, I need to add 1 egg well beaten. I'm just going to crack that egg into this bowl here. Set that eggshell aside for my composter. And beat this egg well. I used to eat a lot of muffins when I was younger. My grandmother, Ruler especially, she'd always have fresh muffins. She used to take in what we called festival guests. It was really just a bed and a place to sleep and a very light continental breakfast. In those days, continental breakfasts were coffee, muffins, and orange juice if you were lucky. Now if you go stay at a B&B, you're going to have a much nicer spread than that. Okay. So I add 1 egg beaten to my oatmeal and milk mixture and stir that up. Alright, the yellow from the egg, it doesn't look so much like wallpaper paste now. Actually now it looks sort of like a nice rice pudding look to it. And I'll set that aside over there. Next, I'm taking 2/3 cup of flour. Now, of course, in this booklet, they suggest using Robin Hood flour. Go figure, the booklet's made by the Robin Hood Flour Limited Company. They tell you to measure after you've already sifted the flour, so I did that ahead of time. So this is 2/3 a cup of sifted flour. And to this, I'm going to add 2/3 a teaspoonful of salt, say that much, 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, and 2 teaspoons full of sugar. It doesn't specify white or brown sugar. I had a whole entire package of brown sugar that had gone hard, so what I'm using is 2 teaspoons of grated brown sugar. mean, that's the way brown sugar used to come, but anyways, was all in a cone with the blue wrapping paper on it, and you'd have to grate it, so I don't think it's too far off. So now I'm just going to stir this up a little bit. And it says combine with the first mixture. That'll stir it up. So we're going to mix all that up. And it's quite a sticky mixture. It's almost like a cookie mixture. Used to my muffin mixtures being a little bit more runny like this than this. Maybe it's the cooked oats that do it. Now the final thing it says to do is add 1 tablespoon of melted shortening, which I have there. Okay, now it says to put into a well-greased muffin pan. I'm using a stainless steel muffin pan. It's the only one I have. It's actually the only cooking pan I have that's not red and white granite ware. Over the years I've been collecting the red and white granite ware, but I've never found a nice muffin pan. I was debating whether or not to put in the cups, the paper cups. I'm thinking, especially during wartime, they probably would not have done this. It would be seen as a waste of paper, so we're not going to use muffin cups. I'll just put those back. So here we go. Just put these into my muffin pan. Oh, this is sticky. You can see why, if you weren't using a nonstick pan, why you'd want this to be well greased. Yeah, I think not using the paper cups was definitely the way to go here. I'm really hoping that this recipe turns out as well as the savory lima bean scallop. Just because if I can find a really nice muffin recipe that only makes 6 muffins and uses leftover porridge, that would suit my lifestyle perfectly. But yeah, it's very, very sticky dough here. Dough or mixture? A muffin, muffins are batter, I think we call it. It'd be interesting too, I'm not going to do it this time because I'm sticking right to the recipe as much as possible, to maybe add some rhubarb to this. They grew a lot of rhubarb in Victory Gardens, or raisins. Wouldn't necessarily be a World War II recipe, although some of the recipes I've read do call for raisins. But rhubarb would definitely be something they had a lot of in your Victory Gardens. And I think actually, I know back in my hometown of Stratford, a lot of people who still have rhubarb in their gardens, it comes from World War II. I love rhubarb as long as it's cooked in something. I've known a few people who can eat raw rhubarb. Unfortunately, I'm not one of them. I've also seen people just dip it in a little bit of sugar and eat it that way. Again, not something I could do. I'm just wondering if I should level these out a bit or just lay them as is. It doesn't give me any further instructions now other than to cook in a medium oven at 375 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 to 25 minutes. So I'm going to go put these in the oven and see you when they're done. All right, the muffins are done. And the last part of the recipe said that I better bake double. They're that good. Time to see. Nice and warm from the oven. They definitely would be good first thing in the morning, but yeah, they taste more what I would think of as a biscuit than they do as a muffin. However, because they're not very sweet, I think you could put in some blueberries or raspberries, maybe even some cooked rhubarb, or just something to give it a little bit more of a taste, because you can really taste is a little bit of baking powder in the oatmeal. There's not really any other taste. There's a little bit of taste of egg. But it isn't surprising. There isn't really much in there to taste. And as I said, you don't use a lot of sugar, so they're not very sweet. But if you put jam or something on these, then it'd really highlight the jam. I think I'd also, maybe if I was having company over for dinner, just 4 or 5 people, and I wanted some biscuits or rolls to go with dinner, I'd definitely cook these. I think those would be great. On them, actually, these would be perfect for apple butter because they're not overly sweet, so you could just really taste the apple butter. Perfect apple butter muffins. Anyways, that was the Economy Oat Muffins from the Ration Recipes booklet by Robin Hood Flour Mills Limited. The link to that on Wartime Canada is available through the Culinary Historians of Canada. Until next time, here's Jane, and that's all I got.